Gordon did this. This was meant to be part 2 with a long series 4, episode 1, and we thought, let's just chop it in 2.
Yeah.
But listen, here we are, about to introduce the second part of our travel special. How are we?
I'm well, yes, not bad. How are you? It's
well,
cold,
this is in the future, because we recorded our travel show. We thought, it's a bit long, cut it in 2 and put the other one out. But listen, that was about a week ago, and we just wanted to catch up and have a chat.
Exactly. Well, I believe we're coming back with travel tips.
Yes.
Is that the first section?
And I don't want to preempt the show, but the one about the glass in the bathroom, I wish I had known that before a couple of trips. But anyway, Gordon's a lot of people have been asking about trips and about travel tips as well. But before, when we recorded this show, that was the last travel, but I was away again.
You've been to Germany.
That's right. And I caught up with Christian Rosenberg as well, who I know you know, who is a very big person in the world of whiskey. We'll talk about him later on.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Rosenberg has a big whiskey magazine over there, runs a whiskey show. All good.
Oh, very good. So that was great to catch up with him. So this is part 2 of our travel special. Gordon, listen, you drive these travel tips. Why don't you introduce yourself into the section?
Yeah, here's some bloke talking about silly travel tips. And I want to now come on to some amazing travel tips.
Travel tips. This is what we need, a jingle. Traveling tips with Gordon Dundas.
So,
right, okay, I'll get some here, but Gordon Dundas, you have travelled.
Right, we'll do it alternate. We'll do it alternate.
No, I think you will outdo me. But great tips from seasoned travellers. So that was a golf ball. Just explain, he had a golf ball he liked to roll under his foot just to get the muscle.
Yeah, and actually I've had a very sore foot for about the last week and a half. I had a very sore foot when just after I came back from the States, and it's called plantar fasciitis or something like that. It's not through, I don't know how I did it, but you get sometimes a very sore feet from standing up for a long period of time. And so actually having a golf ball in your pocket and just rolling, taking your shoe off, standing behind a whiskey stand or standing up, we stand up for long periods of time, rolling your foot across that is fabulous. And then when you get back to your hotel room, just sit at the side of the bed and just roll your foot on a golf ball for 5 minutes.
Nice.
It make all the difference.
Travel tip number 1. Boom. Gordon, do you want to kick off?
Well, my first one, and this is something that I've always spoken about. Don't do what everybody else does when you go into a hotel room. So what I mean is, when you go into a hotel room, when you go into a hotel room, they're either left hand or right hand, if you know what I mean. And there's generally a window at the end, right? Now, if you're going to sit down on a bed and take your shoes off, you're generally not going to do it towards the wall where the toilet is. You'll do it, you'll sit on the side of the bed, out by the window, looking out, taking your shoes off, and you'll lie down. Maybe the side where the phone is, the side where the alarm clock is. Everybody does that. So that side of the mattress is knackered. So sleep on the other side.
Oh, nice.
Sleep on the side of the bed that you wouldn't think you should sleep on. The bit that's, you know, closer to the wall, the bit that you wouldn't take up, you wouldn't take your shoes off facing the wall if there's a window. Everybody does the same thing. Sleep on the other side of the bed. The mattress will be noticeably better.
That is nice. That is very nice. This is not an official one, but just it was Alan from Loch Lomond. Is it Alan Reid from Loch Lomond?
Yes, Alan, yeah.
Yeah. He just mentioned, I think it's one of his ex-colleagues, an older gentleman, used to bring a bit of carpet to the stalls and put a carpet down there.
It's a travel tip.
So that was quite nice if you're standing for it. But I would say your bag is your home when you're out on the road, so don't go cheap. Don't go cheap.
Oh, good tip. Absolutely. If you're going to buy a bag, luggage, whatever, buy cheap, buy twice.
Yeah.
So when I was in America, my bag that I had for 10 years that I bought in Taiwan basically fell apart. The handle bit stuck up. It was broken. It was bent. And I thought I need to go and buy one, which is an expensive purchase. But I mean, a Samsonite, it wasn't cheap. It was $300. It's quite a lot of money. But you need good luggage. And my other top tip for people is, if you are standing at the baggage reclaim and your bag is coming round, but there's a distinctive smell of whiskey from your bag, don't pick it up till everybody's left.
Bitter experience in that one. That's a bitter experience.
Nothing like having a bag full of whiskey smells because you smashed the bottle that you meant to bring with you. So yeah, that's another classic.
That's a classic. I also think traveling tips is I have been saved so much with apps, getting the, happy, get happy, to be happy, and that would be your flights telling you the gate's changed. Bing, go onto your phone. It's quite nice. Any travel, buses or local taxi companies. I know Uber's all over the place, but there's other ones, other apps. So it's been very, very useful. Takes a wee bit of time to load up the subway or the train station or the train company in that company. But if you got their app, it just makes everything much more easy.
I have another one. Oh, this is a good one. For those of you who have iPhones or have Google Maps, if you're staying in a particular city for a period of time, so let's say a week, and you're a bit worried about data and stuff like that, you can download the map to your phone so that you don't use data to find out information.
Oh, that's a good tip. That's a good tip.
You can download it. You need to go to your sort of profile, and you need to sign into, but you can download that map to your phone so that if you need to find somewhere, you can just do it normally, but you won't be using data because you've downloaded the map.
That's very good, Gordon, because I get lost in Budapest. We're going to hear it from Budapest very shortly. I have issues reading a Google map, but there's a new augmented reality one. You do look like a bit of an idiot holding your phone up, but the little arrows appear through your camera. Then I find myself back home. I've got a tip that very few people actually follow. Everyone knows it in the business, but no one that I know really follows it, Gordon. And that tip is, don't go mad on your first night.
Oh, don't overshoot the runway.
That's a nice one. It's easy said, said. So that's another one.
Yeah, don't. I mean, it's like we've all done it. I remember going to a wedding, similar thing. And everybody on the Friday night, wedding was on the Saturday. Everybody got completely out of hand on the Friday night, and everybody at the wedding was a bit like, "Oh." So yeah, don't overshoot the runway. Remember, you're just taxiing.
Give us some more.
Take a photograph of your hotel room number. The other thing, because you forget, you never take the bit of paper. You forget. You try and find the room you're in the night before. My other travel tip is. If you get a card for the slot and that's the only card you've got, and maybe you're in a really hot part of the world or whatever, business cards in the slot. When you take your key out, perfect. You can leave the light on, or we shouldn't be leaving air conditioning on, but should you wish to leave a light on or something and not, you can keep that going by putting a business card in the slot. And my other tip is...
just to cut across there, Gordon, I didn't know that one either. Till about 2 years ago.
It's a classic.
Because you're charging your devices. And I was like, I take my key out, my devices aren't charging.
Yeah,
so great tip.
And also get a decent travel adapter. Lots of USB ports. And finally, always use the hotel safe, the room safe. Because... it's much better having your stuff in there, like your passport. Don't leave it in the room. And a few other quick ones. Never have a cup of coffee in a hotel room.
Why not? I had one.
Because those cups have never been washed in 5,
Oh my God. Right, okay.
And also never use the glass in the loo.
Oh, why not?
Just don't.
No. I don't want, I've only got a little something. I just want a glass to put it in. And oh no. You see, I believe in humanity. I have a positive view of people that wouldn't do anything to a glass.
Well, the only reason I say that is I did use a glass about 10 years ago. And I just thought, actually, I'm going to dry this off like I've, and I put it back upside down and I put it at a jaunty angle that I could see if the cleaner had checked it, and she didn't change it.
No, right.
It's probably still sitting there. So, yeah.
Okay. Right, Scott, that's some great travel tips. That's
top travel tips.
Oh, that's brilliant. Okay, on this travel episode, let's take you to Budapest now, Gordon.
I've been there.
A wonderful city. Sadly, I got a little bit lost. If you get up in the morning, you can have a little tour around, but we don't really get to see the tourist areas.
Did you not download your map?
I didn't download the map. But I went through quite a lot of data trying to find my hotel again.
Yeah.
I went for a walk and couldn't find it. There's many things that go wrong when I'm out there. And this is, we talk about, and here's one question before we go to the Budapest Whisky Society. And I suppose it's self-evident, Gordon, but why does the industry travel? Why are we out there, really? I mean, we're spending a lot of money.
We are, but we're selling a product that's sociable. It's a social thing. It's not bricks. It's not windows. It's not paper. It's something that people want to find out about more, enjoy, look you in the eye and have a drink with you. So you have to do it face to face. That's the nature of this industry, and we will continue to do that despite all the technologies in the world and all the Zooming that we've done, which was, let's face it, when you're stuck at home, much better than, nobody heard of Zoom before lockdown. So, it's been good, but it's not the same.
You're absolutely right. It's just not the same. And we don't have time to do the year that changed whiskey, But if we did do a year that changed whiskey and a travel special, we'll have to doff our cap to Tommy Dewar, who in 1892 goes around 26 different countries, gets his order book filled, employs agents, and boom, he's got the business just takes off from there, really. And that was probably one of the first traveling salesmen. So yeah, we've got to be out there doing it face to face. And I bumped into a listener, no doubt, another listener who came across. He says, Budapest Whisky Society, love Whisky Unscripted. I couldn't resist getting them on the show. Here he is. Let's go to Budapest. Well, here we are in the Corinthia Hotel, and I'm just on my phone because I forgot my recording device, but never mind. And I have come across a very interesting gentleman. What's your name, sir?
My name is Gergely.
Gergely.
It's a special Hungarian name, so it's not easy for you guys, but you can manage it.
I'll call you George. No, Gergely. Gergely, tell me who you are with and what do you do?
So I'm a member of the Budapest Whisky Society. That's quite like the biggest and I would say the most active whiskey club here in Hungary. So we established the club quite like 3 years ago, just before the frankly COVID times. And we decided to do this really on an offline way. So we have already known each other as friends, as from the work environment, etc., from different shows, from different tastings, and decided, okay, let's really do this club on offline. Okay. So meet always once in a month, do some special tasting, have some fun together, share our experiences, whatever, as business as usual.
Yeah, perfect.
And then COVID kicked in 2020, so we forced ourselves back to the online world. But really, the community helped us a lot to survive the COVID.
Of course it did. Of course it did. No.
It was not just physically bad thing, but also mentally.
Yes, for us as well.
Yeah.
Could you go back? What was the Hungarian whiskey scene like? That's what we want to know on Whisky Unscripted. What was it like back?
So, for example, 10 years ago, when I started my career in whiskey and the first touches, so it was really a bit smaller community. But thanks to the social media, thanks to the whiskey shows here in Budapest, because there's the 11th whiskey show here in Budapest. Thanks to the WhiskyNet, it's a developing story. It's a strongly developing story. So more and more guys, girls are coming into the clubs. So we have already now an online forum, an online platform called Malting Floor.
Yes.
That's our online division. So we have actually 2 clubs, and it's good to see that also from other cities here around Hungary, clubs are forming themselves. So now we have on Pécs, that's a smaller city. We have Tata, we have also Eger. So quite like also new clubs are growing outside.
And what are you tasting? Give us a rough sample list of what's doing well, what gets the juices flowing, and what have you sampled?
So, for example, one month ago, we reached out an independent bottle mold barn. So, hi Martin, if you listen to this one.
Obvious.
So we reached out that guy is a small German independent bottle, and we decided to come on. We are sending you a Zoom link. Please join. We bought some bottles from him, and then we organized this online one. Last time we had a very interesting tasting of Teeling with the guys.
Yes.
And then what else? So just mentioning with Adelphi and Ardnamurka, so with Connell and Antonia, we had already 2 tastings in the past. So independent bottlings, even sometimes we are approaching the distilleries directly. So hello, my friend.
I'm sure the answer will be yes. But no, it's great to see that it's been a real emerging market here in Hungary.
Really, the palette of whiskey, it's absolutely widespread. So we can pick from here, from there, from whatever. Yeah. So it's we are trying to do this, always put some different things on the table.
Yes.
So
and the knowledge, I did a couple of master classes. The knowledge of people, great, and also a young demographic.
We have really some experts, because guy here that knows, he's an expert of knowing the things. He can tell everything, anything. So we have very experienced users. They are in the whiskey addicts for 15 years, for 12 years, or whatever. So.
Well, listen, good luck with everything.
Yeah,
with the whiskey.
I'm really proud of this community here in Hungary.
Yeah.
Not only the clubs, but only the guys, the individuals, the companies. So absolutely.
And your job today has been just to help out WhiskeyNet.
Yeah. We are helping out WhiskeyNet. So we are also serving drinks here in the stands. Quite like more than 20 people are doing a job from the clubs in this beautiful T-shirts, of course.
T-shirts. Yes.
So absolutely, we are doing that one, and networking, like we are doing.
Yes.
So
don't tell people. I tell people this is a real job. So don't tell people it's not a real job. Don't tell folk it's not.
No, it's absolutely. It's about passion. It's really our passion. So.
It comes across. So listen, thank you, Yegi. Thank you very much.
Gordon was really good part of the show. So
yes, you were a listener, so you're now on.
Yeah,
Whisky
I will. Hey, take care and enjoy Budapest.
Thank you.
Budapest Whisky Festival, great.
But what is interesting, and it's very encouraging, only 3-year-old, that Whisky Society. So, there are countries that are still coming to Scotch whisky as a category. It's still quite a new thing for a lot of people.
Oh, hugely. And that's great. And the more people that get involved, fabulous. And, Budapest and Hungary is not a massive market for us, but it's important that we go there, particularly after the last 2 years. And that's just the way life is. And it's great to engage these people, meet them, and they're passion, and they want to speak to you. It's fabulous. Absolutely fabulous.
If I've got time, I'll put up the Budapest pipe band that came into the Corinthia Hotel and played. So I've got a video of that, and I'll try and put that up on the Facebook site as well. Great fun. And then jumped on a plane to Athens, Gordon, and bumped into Dr. George Papadogoulas. Right, okay, I might get that wrong. But it does give us his pronunciation, and a friend of ours, Stuart Thompson, our
Business Development Director.
Market, thank you very much. And Dr. George was doing a masterclass in Europe, possibly even the world's largest bar show. The Athens Bar Show is absolutely enormous. And obviously our spirits are down there and being enjoyed by a really fiercely trendy young group of bartenders. It's a great
you'd fit in naturally to that.
After they had a few drinks, yes.
Yeah.
I look younger.
So what did you do in Athens apart from what does being at the Athens Bar Show actually, and did you do a class? Did you do
No, we just had our whiskies there, and some of the people that we have distributing our whiskey, just helping them just meet the locals, pour some whiskies.
There's a real passion for Scotch whiskey in Greece.
Really is.
And Tamdu and Glengoyne do very well out there.
Yep. We did a bar takeover in the Speakeasy Bar, Central Athens, downstairs. Thessaloniki bartenders come in. I was expecting quite a quiet place. It was 4 deep at the bar. The music was cranked up loud. It was pig's nose and sheep dip in the same cocktail with some fantastic little bitters and some flavourings, and it was just kicking off. It was great, and we get such a great welcome as producers coming down there. But we were, indeed I was, about 20 to 30 years older than the oldest person in that bar. However, it was a great night, and it's great. And Dr. George was doing a masterclass at the Athens Bar Show, and I caught up with him just about an hour before he went on. It's all explained, Gordon, but it's just very interesting. He was refuting terroir in whiskey.
Well, we'll come back to this.
Come back to that, yes, yes. Okay, listen, let's go to Athens. Well, here I am in what time is it now? It's 5 to 6, and I'm with I've got a very important gentleman in front of me. He's doing a masterclass in about an hour and 50 minutes time. So this is an exclusive. Sir, what's your name?
I'm George Papadogoulas. I'm sorry for that, guys. It's a very Greek last name.
And is it not an academic
well, I'm a professor in UNIVA, which stands for University of West Attica, and I teach food and beverage management. But at the same time, I'm a whiskey connoisseur, and I've been doing that job for, well, let's say to be kind, let's say from the past century, from the previous century. Yes.
Now, before we talk about that, could you just explain what is this place? What am I doing here? What the hell's happening, George?
Well, the truth is that I don't know what you're doing here, and after all the things,
many people think that.
and after all the things that I've drunk, I don't know what I'm doing here. But I am supposed to be talking about whiskey terroir, marketing, or truth.
Yes.
And the reason is that there has been some really interesting work done around terroir in Waterford, but at the same time there is a big controversy in how serious is not the research itself, which is very, very serious, but how serious it's in long terms. I mean, you get the new make and you have the terroir, okay, but then you get the cask. So what in all honesty, I'm doing, I'm going to fuck with the brains of the mouths of my attendants, giving them peated whiskey from Speyside, non-peated whiskey from Islay, and things like that. So in order to, let's say, disprove the terroir theory after cask.
Can I just ask, and it may be worth the listeners understanding what is meant by terroir. I think maybe people know about the wines and all that, but what is this rough definition in whiskey terms of terroir?
There you go. So in whiskey, we're talking about barley, but we're talking about the origins of the barley. Then, if we are to talk about the distillery's terroir, that means that the barley must be grown in the same region that the distillery is. So, wow, we have a big question, because as we all know, let's say Glenord produces 95% of barley of whiskey distilleries. Huh?
Yes.
There are only few distilleries that produce that, at least, let's say, they malt their own barley. There are only 7.
Yeah.
Right?
And we were on Islay, and even then, it's about 20%.
Exactly.
It's not even anywhere near half.
So we're a long way from home.
Yes.
Okay.
So anything else terroir apart from barley?
Terroir. Well, terroir should be in wine terms, should be the plant, the land, and the climate. And on top of everything else, it's going to be the altitude. And on top of that, it's going to be the sun that the vines get during the day, because some get the morning sun, some get the afternoon sun, and all these different variations and diversifications of terroir, and to affect the end product that it's called wine. Okay, so the question is, how is that working? So I'm in a way, I'm starting with the wine, I'm moving to cognac, I'm going to Armagnac, then I'm touching tequila, then I'm going to mezcal, and then I'm having a laugh with rum and vodka.
Yeah.
And then I'm ending. I'm sorry. And then I'm ending with whiskey, which, in general, what I'm saying is that if we end up as an industry making a serious step towards terroir, it should be a serious and very, very careful step, especially since we now have a tendency of producing a big range and variety of whiskies in the same distillery, based mostly on different casks, and especially since the era of NAS, non-age statement whiskies.
Yeah.
So all these are very, very delicate approaches that should be made in terms of whiskey terroir.
You see, your phone's going already because people know you're on Whiskey Unscripted.
Yep.
And they're congratulating you on
That's absolutely real.
And you're absolutely right there, just to cut across. You know, we were at Islay, as I mentioned before, and you've got Bruichladdich who are doing Port Charlotte through the same stills as a classic laddie,
Exactly.
as, you know, their other whiskies. So it's different flavours, same stills, same.
But the most important thing is what you said. You have Port Charlotte, and at the same distillery you have Octomore.
I know.
Right, so you have something sweet and non-peated,
Yes.
and something that is as peated as it gets, right? Like, I don't know, it has 223 ppms, I think.
But there's seems to be a desire for this terroir to take off. I know the Whiskey Magazine's editorial a couple of months ago were talking about it and really sort of.
And that's my point. Is it true or is it marketing?
Yeah, you mentioned the casks earlier on at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've got the new make, then you've got the casks.
Yeah. I mean, Old Pulteney, you have like 7 different Chardonnay finish and blah 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 finish. And only if you play with wines. And now that the law has changed and we have a vast variety of casks accepted by the Scotch Whisky Association. Keep in mind that now we can age whiskies in pale ale, we can age whiskey in very different casks. Yeah. So now all these are very, very different things, and very, very, subtle things that you have to approach with. From my point of view, you have to be very, very careful.
Yeah.
Because for me, whiskey literally it started back in 1988. Right, so when you work with love and you fell in love with I'd say product, but it's a spirit. You are literally involved with that. I personally am involved with that through pure love, and I don't really like it when it changes so much so fast in order to make a different impact in the market. Right, I can understand that a business means money. But at the same time, Scotch whisky means heritage, and we should definitely be very, very careful with that. That's my humble opinion.
That is a great opinion. And you just mentioned whisky. What is the whisky scene like in Athens? And could you give us a little description of what we've witnessed in the last 2 days here?
So we are at the Athens Bar Show, it has grown the past 13 years. It's the 13th event. It has grown to be probably the biggest bar show in Europe. What we're doing here is that we're bringing together bartenders, bar owners, bar managers, and of course the producers and the importers to meet, to taste the new products, to know each other. So this is an open air party for up to 10 to 12,000 people.
It's an amazing event, and lots of other spirits out there as well.
Of course,
whiskey's actually maybe in the minority here.
It is a minority. I'd say that rum, tequila, and different spirits hold a very, very big part. But Greece and whiskey has a very deep connection.
All right, discuss.
So in Athens we have the biggest bar, the biggest whiskey bar in Greece. It's called CV Distiller. And if you haven't been there, you should go there, or I'll take you with Stuart.
I was there last night. Research only, George. Research only, if anybody's listening.
And we also have in different small cities, like imagine there is a small city called Karpenisi in the center of Greece. It has less than 5,000 inhabitants, and there is a bar there called Onar, which holds 423 different labels. So we're talking about a crazy guy in the middle of nowhere, keeping a huge huge whiskey shop for nothing, literally, because he doesn't make his money back for sure.
So heat. You might think people are all going to be drinking beer or long drinks, but heat and
We are in Greece. We are more in the straight up drinking. During winter, we consume enormous amounts of whiskey, straight up. Cocktails work during summer, and mostly they outrange, like gin consumption or vodka consumption because of the tourists, because we have 22 million tourists during the summer. So there is a let's say the numbers go up and down during the tourist season and less during the non-tourist season, but whiskey holds a very, very serious number in consumption in Greece.
So anybody wants to come to Athens or Greece, there's lots of whiskies there to
Absolutely.
get involved in.
Absolutely.
And when you're doing a tasting, give us a couple of 2 or 3 whiskies. Doesn't matter, Scotch, whatever. Just whiskies that George might put on the table to get us a good taste and get a party going.
That's going to be so unfair.
That is tough.
That is going to be so unfair. I mean, only because Stuart is here.
Yes.
I usually use Glengoyne when I can find it. But listen, the one whiskey that I definitely want on my table would be Taliska.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's so unique. It's one distillery on Sky Island. I love that fact. I would definitely go for Glengoyne. I would use, and it's not a joke, because I've always loved the story that the distillery is on the highlands and the warehouse is on the lowlands, and that's something that I'm dying for as a story. And then I would go for Campbelltown. Glen Scotia would be on my table for sure.
Yeah.
So if we're going to keep it down to 3. It could be there, but yes, then Isla should be there, of course. Then Spey and Macallan should be there, and so many great whiskies and so many new whiskies. Clydeside, for example, in Glasgow. It's a very interesting effort. That
It's exciting. We've got now 141 or something distilleries.
There you go. There you go.
And
imagine that I still remember it was back in 1989, the first time that I visited Edinburgh, and we were running around trying to find which distillery is about to be closed, because that was the time that distilleries were closing. And now we're living at the happy era where distilleries are opening. And yet again, I'm still a little bit petrified from the rate. I mean, 2011, 4 distilleries in Ireland. 2022, 24 distilleries in Ireland.
For every boom, there's a...
Yeah.
Don't use the word.
Exactly. So what's going to happen after? That's the after that I'm a little bit worried and concerned about.
Okay. Well, George, an immense interview. We could speak all night on the Whisky Unscripted, but it's been wonderful. Really, really great. Everyone in Scotland would love you to come and join us on this
It's a promise, and it's going to be soon.
Listen, you're on in just over an hour.
Exactly.
And you're coming to Scotland soon, you said?
I will, and I will bring a party of people with me, bartenders and bar owners.
Great. Sure said you'd pay for it.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. George, all the best.
Thank you. Cheers.
Gordon's masterclass was really very interesting. We had the headphones on for translation. We had the whiskies there, of which one was Smokehead, and we had a Welsh whiskey as well. And he talked about the terroir and wine, terroir and mezcal, terroir and other spirits, but he's not very convinced about the terroir and whiskey. Anyway, just I thought to close the episode, a nice wee chat about that, because I think 2 months ago, the Whiskey Magazine, there was a big article about terroir in there as well, and I've been interviewed at Glengoyne from American academics. Terroir again come up. I thought, my God, could you explain? He did as well, but what's your take on it all?
Well, I mean, I think the reason I hesitate somewhat is there is a real split on this, I think, from a lot of people, and I'm no scientist, and there's better people to talk about this than me. I mean, if you think about it, things like barley variety, rather than terroir, there's no doubt barley variety has an impact on spirit. Water, not so much, I don't think. Yeast has an impact on spirit. But terroir, depending on what you mean by it, terroir, obviously in wine, we're talking about the soil, and the you have a fruit that is grown from the nutrients in the soil. So it's a very direct relationship. Barley is not the same. However, if you go and stand at the Waterford stand that I did the other day and taste a whole load of different whiskies, they're all very, very different. And is it ultimately down to terroir and the type of field that the barley's come from? And that's what Waterford would absolutely have you believe. And that's what their Bruichladdich have done this as well to a certain extent.
Yes,
it's a really interesting debate, and I am not the best person to speak about this. It would be interesting to maybe go in a future Whisky Unscripted, go more into this. But what was the gist of what you're, I mean, obviously just highlighted it, but what was the gist of your takings from it?
Just what you've said, Gordon. George was, I wouldn't say dismissive, but he was very skeptical about it. Yes, the soil in grape, absolutely, as terroir equals, and the agave plant, depending on what altitude it's planted at and what species of plant it is, absolutely. But barley does not all come from the one area. You know, you're bringing barley in from, in their case, north, it's Berwick-upon-Tweed, and in some Islay distilleries, the mainland as well. So it's not like it's come from that area. And often distilleries are not maturing their whiskey at that distillery. They're often shipped off. And we will not mention which ones, but it's
a lot of Islay whiskies are not matured in Islay.
Yep. So,
and that feeds into a little bit of the narrative that, you know, I've said this before. If you think of the maturation, when you have so much time in a particular place, you do start to, you know, take on a hint of what that place is. There's no doubt about it. So if I've said this, I think, on this podcast before, if you were to park a car in Islay at Lafroig and you left an Alfa Romeo, one that rusts particularly nicely, you left it at Lafroig at the front near the warehouses, you come back 10 years later, it'd be quite in a bad state. You leave the same Alfa Romeo at Glengoyne, yes, it wouldn't, but it would be covered in moss, and it would be covered in a whole load of things that wouldn't be covered at Lafroig. That is not necessarily terroir. That's the environment per se. Terroir for me means more soil, more the wine.
That's right.
Bit of but
location of that production facility, and I think that's what George was saying. I think a lot of people there sort of agreed with his findings there. It's a very difficult, you know, possibly a lot of, and you say we're split on it. It's possibly you could see people trying to crowbar whiskey into that explanation, into that.
But then when you go and drink Waterford and you taste the difference, you're a little bit like, man, you know, I've heard a lot of people talk on this subject, and you know, I'm ultimately a little bit, I don't know. I'm probably more of a less believer than a believer, but
I think we'll come. It's a good one to come back to. That was very good. Have you changed your opinion since last week? Since we recorded part 2 a week ago about terroir?
I think it's George. Look, there's a whole load more people that know more about it than me, but I mean, I think location of maturation is important. Those sorts of things. I think what Waterford has done is very interesting, and what Bruichladdich done is very interesting, and it does have an impact. Of course, it does. But is it variety or is it terroir? There's a difference.
And I have to say, Dr. George, and he said his second name, so I'll just leave it as Dr. George. What a colourful character he is. He's been in the business, coming to Scotland since the late 1980s, as is Christian coming up very shortly. And I think, Gordon, please contact us on Facebook. I'll put up the pipe band from Budapest on our Facebook page as well, because that was a very good, a very surprising part of the Hungarian Budapest Whisky Club Society. I did not expect to see a pipe band there. I'm
looking forward to seeing that.
Yes. We'll try and put our travels up. And Gordon, we mentioned this at the start of the show. This is part 2 of our travel special. We thought the travel was over, but I ended up going to Frankfurt. And I have to say, I think a lot of people think this is one of the best or better whiskey shows in the calendar.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think I think it's probably Germany's most influential whiskey show. I think if you look at Holland, then you probably have Den Haag, which is the one we were just at, as probably its most influential and biggest whiskey show. And then you have Whiskey Live Paris, which is probably a very big European influential show, not just France. And the other big one, which I think is highly influential, is the Whisky Show in London. Those are the 4, I think, probably most influential whisky shows in Europe. But I'm sure I'll get an email going, what about this one?
Yeah. And I have to say, this is the first one you sent me to. And in the Palm Garden, the Botanical Gardens in Frankfurt.
Yeah, really nice.
What a wonderful location. If check that out when you listen to this interview. And in the background, you can hear the pipes as well. Great bagpipes. So Christian Rosenberg, Gordon, you've met him, in fact, a few times.
I have. I've been to his he has a hotel very near the, in fact, it's either just in Switzerland or...
Yes, he mentions it later on.
Yeah, and I went down, did a tasting there. I can't remember when that was. March this year? Not sure. Can't really remember when it was, but went and did a tasting with him last year with Glengoyne down there. And really nice guy, nice place, good people. And I know that obviously we have done a special bottling for them. So that was one of the reasons you were there.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. And just on that point, Gordon, he is a master keeper of the quaich? Yes.
He's a master of the quaich. He's a master of the quaich, I think.
And it's just amazing when you go out into the world about how many of these very influential people from out with Scotland are out there in their own country, really banging the drum for Scotch whisky. I mean, it's fantastic.
And that's what being a keeper and master of the quaich is all about. It's about promoting Scotch as your job, or being in the industry, doing that for, 5, 10 plus 20 years. And Christian is absolutely one of those people. And there's a whole stack of others which have been made keepers. There's a whole stack of people that, in my opinion, haven't been made keepers and should be made keepers. But, that's just the way we are. But great. And you forget there's a lot of people doing it as their day job in all these foreign countries.
And you mentioned keepers there, Gordon. Why am I thinking of rumours? Same sort of words. I ended up in a hotel on this trip, and can I just say it's the only time, and it's a very good hotel, it's the only time, and I don't generally take anything from the minibar, but there was a blindfold in a black box in with the minibar.
I mean, Rumours is a nice, good breakfast. Very good breakfast.
Very good breakfast.
Very good.
A blindfold. After the first hour, I get bored with it, so I thought I'll just put that down.
I think if you're ever in Frankfurt, go to Rumours, just people watching the bar, and you'll sort of maybe understand a little bit more about the sort of vibe that goes on in this place. It's a really nice hotel, but it's certainly a little bit different, I think.
I know, we could talk all day, Gordon, but, we'll be no time to talk about you, Negronis and Boris Becker, for example.
No, or Andy Bell from Aaron. No, absolutely.
No. And that's a subject, those certain bars and watering holes around the world where ambassadors hang out could be a great show. So listen, I hope you enjoy this interview, Gordon. You've not heard it either, of Christian Rosenberg at Interwhisky in the Palm Garden in the Botanic Gardens in Frankfurt.
Hello Scotland, my name is Christian Rosenberg. I'm a master keeper of the quaich, and I'm the editor of the Whisky Botschafter magazine and the founder of the Interwhisky. And this year we have in Frankfurt the 25 Interwhisky fair, the biggest whiskey fair in Europe, what we started. And and it was a funny story. I was this year in Scotland and looking by Thamdu with Sandy for a single cask. And we found a very good single cask with the sherry cask, 16 years old whiskey. And this was a hard work because we was 5 hours in the warehouse and we taste everywhere.
How many hours?
5 hours, and we find a lot of casks.
So you're over specifically to try and find a single cask to celebrate your 25th anniversary.
This is the reason we are looking for a special, because we had last 5 years not sherry cask, and this year we say, okay, we're looking for a special Oloroso cask. And this was a big fun for us. And thank you very much for the team, for Sandy, and for Gerd that we found this nice cask.
Oh, what a cask. What a cask. And did you know that was a cask? Because it was a sherry hogshead. So this was a hogshead, 250 litres, 16-year-olds. Yeah. Did you know it? Was it love at first sip?
Yeah, this was 100% tip, and I hope I'm not falling in the cask because it was not so big cask. and there was so many casks. Was funny. Was also a cask in the corner was for the Whiskey Club Moscow or something like this. And then I make a joke. I sorry, this cask can't deliver it to Moscow because in the moment the situation is not so whiskey friendly for Moscow. I would like to get this cask, and Sandy told me yes, we are very peaceful people. We are waiting after the war. Perhaps it's going to Moscow. Okay, we're looking for another cask, and then we found
what a cask. What a cask.
2061, I think.
Just to say, last night we had a lovely meal last night, and we tasted some wonderful Highland Park, wonderful Lafroig. The last drinks were the Tamdhu, and culminating in that single cask.
Yeah. And it's funny, yesterday, we have 6 whiskies and 4 whiskies comes from the islands. Jura, Islands, Orkney and Isla.
Yes.
And everybody knows these are very peaty whiskies. And then is coming the Tamdhu whiskey, and this was a very big difference. Was the sherry bomb.
Wow, it was what a whiskey. And only 328 bottles, is that right?
Yeah, 328, and we have for German market. And today, it's funny, it's the first day into whiskey. The whiskies arrived last week, and here we're selling today only in 6 hours 120 bottles.
It won't be around very long. You mentioned Interwhisky. Could you just paint a picture for the listeners? Where are we? Why did you begin this? You started this whiskey festival, Interwhisky. Could you paint the picture?
I started in whiskey. I work also for a big whiskey company for 20 years, and then we start 1997. I was finished with this company, and then make my own magazine, Whisky Botschafter.
So why?
Whisky Botschafter.
Can I stop you there?
Yeah.
Why did you do that? What made you come up with that idea?
Germany, it's a big market for Scotch whiskey industry, mainly for blended whiskies, and then the malt whiskey for this time is slowly starting here. Nobody in this market in Germany was only the classic malts, and it was finished, and no Glenfiddich was there, and then was finished, and then start the whiskey companies we imported for whiskies in this market, and then I think we need more public relation PR for the Scotch whiskey industry. This is the reason why I'm also keeper of the Quake. And with my magazines, we have now in Germany 30,000 circulations. We have online 52,000 circulations, online readers, and this is very successful. In Switzerland, our magazine is Whiskey Time. We have 20,000 circulation, and the people like our magazine concentrated especially only for whiskey. Of course, whiskey from the New World also, but mainly Scotland. 70% is the story about Scotland whiskey, Scottish people, and the people behind, like you, working for the whiskey industry.
Yeah. And what's this? Either this episode or give us a flavour of what features are in the magazine. What do you do?
We have the magazine we have in the media planning every year. It's because the funny thing is these people here knows everything about whiskey.
Very
and
knowledgeable.
Some people come to Tamdhu for 2 years. I see the warehouse number 3. Oh, it's different now. And the people explain your warehouse, and the people are crazy. But we have, for example, a story about pot stills. We have a story about history. We have a story about marketing, what's going on with the industry. Sometimes we have story about cask management is important, warehouse management, how that's going on. Then we have a story, how is the barley situation in the moment?
Well,
because expensive. How is the situation with gas, everything? We are looking of this. And in the markets, we're looking also in the German market, how is the best way to promote whiskey.
And now this is a travel special we're doing on this podcast.
Yeah.
And we've been to Athens and Budapest, and Gordon was in The Hague. This is Germany. Have you travelled around the world?
Yes,
what's your take on Scotch whisky around the world and travelling?
In Germany, for example, the German market by Nielsen is in the moment, it's the market share by the top blended whiskey we are around about by 78%, and the single malt market growing last year 18% plus. It's amazing. This is and we are happy. We are very happy that not so many comes back from China to Europe. It's good.
Yes.
And I think the historic story from Scotland of these people, of the history, the partnership to Scotland, and the people like it. All the things, the people travel to Scotland, to the Highlands, to the Lowlands, everything. It's an industry in Scotland now for whiskey industry, the travel industry to the whiskey distilleries. And I think that this is the relationship, and you can't play this game with Armagnac or with gin or with
Whiskey's
cognac.
amazing.
This is the story of whiskey.
And we're talking about travelling on this episode, and we've travelled around the world. But if people wanted to travel to Germany, is this a great place to come and try and sample some whiskies?
We have, of course, German whiskies. We have now 60 distilleries,
Wow.
but we need more time in the moment. We have some whiskies that are 10 years old, 15 years old. But in Germany or Switzerland, now it's not bad the whiskies, but we need more time. You haven't a whiskey with 25 years or something like this, or Temdu, cask management, 16 years, sherry cask. You can't find it here.
Yeah. And it will be great, because they get great beer here. So if you get great beer, you will have great whiskey.
That is a good thing with the beer. This distillery work with beer companies very close are the best whiskies. Some whiskey distilleries working with only spirits and fruities and eau de vie or Williams or something. Take the same pot stills. This quality is not so good for whiskey. Mainly 100% with barley and pot still. Have their own pot still distillery, and working with the beer breweries. These companies are very successful.
Now, I believe, Christian, you have one of Europe's or the world's, you've got a whiskey hotel.
Yeah.
Could you tell me about this? Because someone explained it to
I
me
don't know in the world,
yesterday,
but in Europe.
and it sounded amazing.
Yeah, we have Lake of Constance. This is the area between Zurich and Constance in the South Germany. It's a very big. The biggest lake in Europe is the Lake of Constance area. And on Swiss side we have the Trompet der Schlössle. And this hotel is very special because we have in the hotel, of course, a big whiskey bar list. We have about 600 positions about whiskey, and we have each room is the name of a whiskey distillery. You found Scapa, you found Glengoyne. We have a beautiful Glengoyne room, and the guests come in the room, and everything is renovated. We have the style Belle Epoque style, and a very big bed, and you're sitting there. You have a picture of the distillery. You have a welcome letter from the distillery manager, and you have a small tram when you go on the bed from this distillery. And the funny thing, you go in the evening in the bar, oh, look, there's my Tamdu, and now or Glengoyne. I go in the room and drink the Glengoyne. And we have a lot of events. And these events, we have in the wintertime 52 events. And every weekend, nice Scottish menu, and some people from the industries are coming, whiskey ambassadors, and we take whiskey tasting together. And it's only open for these whiskey people.
It's unbelievable. It sounds amazing. And can I just take you back to the young Christian? Where or why did this love of Scotch whiskey come from? You've opened up a hotel. This whiskey festival that you've started it. You've got a magazine. Where?
It's my life.
What do you put it down to?
I started in the hotel and catering business, like Andrew Symington. I meet him in Edinburgh. He was in the hotel business. And Andrew told me the story. He handled the business with Signatory later on. He buy cars from the distillery. And I was in Edinburgh and Sheraton Hotel for learn a little bit English, but Scottish was also there. and then was the first contact to Scotland in this time. And then I see it's a beautiful country. I like the first time with whiskey. I have Scottish friends there. And then, funny thing, 3 years later, I have an offer from the whiskey industry. And then I started in the Scottish whiskey industry.
Oh, I see. Right, okay. So that get your love of Scotch, yes.
And in this time, I start 1988.
And that was just the beginning of the single malt revolution.
I started for a big blended whiskey company, and then we have started with the single malts here in Germany.
So that's your love started. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And
then we started with Scottish food and make promotion with British meat. We take promotion with Scottish foods here, or with smoked salmon, everything. We make the trade fair here. And then this time we started with the first Interwhisky here in Frankfurt.
I was just about to say, let's finish with the Interwhisky in Frankfurt. When did this begin? And could you give us a little some summation of what it is.
Frankfurt is very successful because we have a mix. We have some people from the trade here, we have some people consumer, and this is in the middle of Germany because you have a big airport here, you come here, we have a good train stations, and the Germans from north side, east side, south side coming in the middle, and this is the good city here in Frankfurt. And you see here the towers of Frankfurt, big cities, banking, the European Central Bank, everything is here, big money is also here, and you need also good consumer for buying good whiskies.
Of course, and this building, has it always been here?
Yes, it's built.
Could you explain what this building is?
This built is the Palmengarten. It's built in Germany, 1876. The Kaiser Friedrich was for this side. Germany have also colonies, not so many like UK, but have a little bit. and for this time, the name is Palmengarten. It's a special pavilion. You come in and see very old trees from Africa. You see some. It's like a zoo a little bit, but you see very good old flowers and everything. And the people come for this time. Look at, and this all the building is in a Belle Époque styling. And this is United, very big empora, and it's a very old one. And this is during the war, it's nothing here, no bump, nothing, because in this area it's a lot of was kaput, bombs, but here was nothing.
Nothing touched.
Nothing.
It's absolutely wonderful inside, and the atmosphere. From what I've been hearing from all the ambassadors, this is one of the top ones to come to.
The restaurant is one of the best restaurants here. It's a big caterer. It's the same company with the restaurant La Fleur. And this restaurant have 2-star Michelin. It's a very good restaurant. And you see yesterday the food was very good.
It's absolutely wonderful. You get some wonderful whiskies in there. A wonderful magazine. 25 years. Did you ever think it would come to that, 25 years?
Yeah, 25 years. I hope the next 25 years the same. And, of course, I hope we find the next good whiskey with Dando.
You have been a wonderful patron for Scottish whiskies, Christian. Wonderful night last night and a wonderful whiskey
Thank you
festival.
for coming.
Not at all. Sandy sends his regards.
And we see us perhaps in Switzerland.
Yes, I'd love to come. Yes, I'll do an event for you.
Oh, Gordon, that was what do you make of that? It's a great show, really, and all the regulars were there. You'd have known all the guys there from the girls from the whiskey.
No, great, and it's sort of the last hurrah of the year. It certainly was your last hurrah, and I think thank you again for doing that. And just a really good one to round the whole year off, and now everybody's a little bit less flying about and a bit more time at home.
Can I just say, these are the sort of the things that happened to our ambassador, Andy Bell. You mentioned of Aaron. I got the taxi in from the airport, so he got the taxi back to the airport 3 days later.
Yeah, there you go.
No. Only trouble is he got the wrong hotel. So I was waiting outside in relatively sub-zero temperatures about 7:30 in the morning, thinking it's taking quite a long time. But these are the things sent to test us, Gordon. We're out travelling. Like,
Andy Bell should know that hotel.
He really should. I think.
Anyway, so we're running down into Christmas and the holiday period. Quiet Christmas, Gordon.
Very quiet Christmas. Very quiet. Just going over, making sure the whiskies are of the quality that they really should be. So
absolutely extensive sampling.
Yes, that's exactly it. And we'll maybe see you between Christmas and New Year, Gordon.
I think you will. Yes, we're going to be at the Scotch Whisky Experience, I think, on the 29th at the Distillers Fair. Is that right?
Correct. And we might meet up some friends, do a little recording and put something out for a New Year special.
So if you happen to be in Edinburgh on the 29th, you can come to that.
Yes.
Same here, pretty quiet Christmas. So we just want to say really wishing everybody a fabulous holiday period. Just enjoy the sort of calmness of it. And hopefully, obviously, after the last few years, we can all get together with our families and things like that.
Absolutely. And just one more thing. Before we go, Mr. Dave Arcari got in touch.
Dave Arcari for number one, Christmas number one.
Correct, Dave. He was inviting us both to the launch of his new album.
I know.
Sadly, we were both away at the time, and Whiskey Trail, which I really love, and a wee bit of a theme tune going on with Whiskey Trail on the ways. Yeah. I love it.
What a voice he's got.
It's on the album. So
fabulous.
There's a good album.
So where do people get the album from?
You can just check Dave Arcari. It's on all his website's probably the best place to start off with. Dave Arcari. He's on Facebook. He's everywhere, Dave. So
That's davearcari.com. A-R-C-A-R-I. davearcari.com. Get in there.
Yes,
Brilliant stuff.
Whiskey lovers everywhere. Good album to get. So, Gordon, thank you very much.
Thank you. Good to see you, my friend. Or
Okay.
listen to you, not see you.
I know. We'll be in the same room eventually. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Since 1833, staying ahead on the whiskey trail. Oh, staying ahead on the whiskey trail.